Welcome to the deep dive. We plunge into some incredible sources to pull out the most profound insights, really just for you. Today we're tackling something truly extraordinary. It's a deep dive into human resilience, into what keeps us going when everything seems lost. Our source is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And look, this isn't just a book. It's a powerful testimony to the sheer strength of the human spirit. So our mission today, it's to extract those vital nuggets of wisdom from Frankl's life, his experiences, and his philosophy. We want to understand how someone can find a reason, any reason, to stay alive when hope feels completely gone. Just think about the context for a moment. Frankl, a psychiatrist, lived through the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps. He lost his parents, his brother, his pregnant wife, everything, and surrounded by just constant starvation, brutality, death. He asked that ultimate question. Why live when life is unbearable?
Right.
And his answer, which we're going to explore, became this incredibly powerful philosophy, basically that life always has meaning, no matter the suffering. So, yeah, let's unpack this. It's almost impossible, isn't it, to really grasp the weight of what Frankl went through. I mean, right there in the camps during World War II.
Utterly horrific.
Facing the absolute worst. Starvation, beatings, constant death, losing his whole family.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, somehow, in that furnace, his philosophy was born. What was that foundational question he was wrestling with? How did these insights even emerge from that?
Well, it's quite something that amidst all that unbearable suffering, he posed exactly that question. Why live? And his whole philosophy, it didn't come from some quiet study. It wasn't abstract theory.
No.
It was forged right there. Through observation, through his own fight to survive, he was living the question he was trying to answer. The insights came directly from that stark reality.
And the observation he made about who actually survived.
That's fascinating. It wasn't always the strongest physically, was it?
No, not at all. That's really the core revelation, I think. Survival wasn't primarily about being physically tough.
So what was it then? It was the people who had a clear purpose, a reason to live, that gave them the will to go on.
Like what kind of reasons?
Oh, it varied. Maybe wanting desperately to see a loved one again.
Right.
Or believing they had some important work left unfinished, something the world needed. Or even just a deep conviction that somehow life still held something for them beyond the camp. That meaning, whatever it was, it gave them the power to endure. It's the difference between just existing and actively living, even against impossible odds.
So if we connect that to the bigger picture, it sounds like Frankl was tapping into something really fundamental about being human.
Exactly.
That meaning isn't just, a nice idea. It actually changes suffering from this passive thing where you're just a victim into an active, almost defiant will to survive. How does that shift how we think about what drives us?
It fundamentally does. His observation points straight to this basic human drive for purpose. Meaning, as he showed, it transforms suffering. You're no longer just passively enduring circumstances. You have a reason to get up, a reason to fight back internally, even when everything around you is telling you to give up.
It's more than just resilience, then.
Oh, much more. It's an active assertion of yourself, your spirit, in the face of forces trying to crush it.
And building on these incredible observations, he developed his own school of psychology, logotherapy.
That's right.
And its core idea, you said, is the will to meaning. Can you unpack that a bit more? What is the will to meaning, and how did it differ so much from, say, Freud or Adler?
Yeah, logotherapy is all about that will to meaning. Frankl argued quite radically at the time that this search for meaning is our primary, our deepest motivation. It wasn't the will to pleasure, like Freud thought, or the will to power that Adler focused on. For Frankl, it was meaning.
So he believed we're fundamentally driven to find purpose.
Yes. And he believed that when that drive is frustrated, when people feel that emptiness, that lack of meaning, well, that's where despair and what he called existential frustration can set in.
That feels like a really hopeful idea. But, for someone deep in despair, maybe facing something that feels insurmountable, does this will to meaning sometimes feel impossible? Like, can you always choose it?
That's a really important question. And Frankl was clear. Without meaning, people can collapse. They can lose the will entirely. But crucially, with meaning, they can survive almost anything. They can even transcend the impossible. Now, does that mean it's easy or always a conscious choice you just flip a switch on? No, of course not. Sometimes finding meaning might just be about enduring for a future purpose, even if that purpose isn't totally clear right now.
Okay.
It's about our inherent capacity as humans to find meaning or even to create it in almost any situation, no matter how bleak. And that perspective really does shift our understanding. Meaning isn't a luxury item. It's essential. It's vital for survival, for flourishing.
Which leads to another really profound idea he had, even there, in the camps. This freedom of attitude.
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't control anything external, right? The guards, the hunger, the brutality. Totally out of his hands. But he realized there was one thing left.
One thing they couldn't take? It's such a radical idea when you think about the context. Stripped of literally everything.
Yeah.
He realized the ultimate freedom wasn't about his circumstances, but about his response to them.
And there's that famous quote.
There is. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances.
Wow.
And this isn't about, pretending things aren't awful.
Yeah.
It's not denying the suffering.
Right.
It's about finding your agency within that suffering.
Yeah.
It's consciously deciding how you will meet the unavoidable. That choice, that internal stance, it empowers you even when you're physically powerless.
It's definitely inspiring. But what about for us? In our daily lives, we face struggles, sure, but usually not. Not that. Does this freedom of attitude still have the same punch? Or is it maybe harder to grasp when the stakes feel lower?
That's a fair point. The context was extreme, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think the principle holds universally. Think about everyday frustrations, traffic jams, work setbacks, arguments. How often do we just default to anger or feeling helpless?
Pretty often, probably.
Frankel's insight pushes us to pause, even in those small moments, and realize we do have a choice in how we respond internally. It might feel like a small thing, but it's a quiet act of reclaiming your inner freedom. It applies whether you're stuck in traffic or navigating a major life crisis. It reminds you that your real power lies in your inner world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And no external force can truly conquer that.
And for Frankel, personally, love was also huge. It wasn't just an abstract idea. It was like a lifeline.
Absolutely.
He talks about his deep love for his wife, Tilly. How did that connection sustain him, even when he had no idea if she was even alive?
Yeah, his experience with his wife is such a moving illustration of this ultimate meaning. For Frankel, love was way more than just an emotion.
How so?
He saw it as a spiritual connection,
Yeah.
something that could transcend physical separation, time, even the suffering itself.
So he could connect with her even though...
Yes, he would conjure her image in his mind, have conversations with her internally. That connection, that love, gave him an unwavering anchor, a profound purpose. It was a concrete example of meaning something so deep it could literally keep him alive in a place designed to extinguish every last scrap of hope.
So, okay, bringing this all back to us now. What does it mean for our lives today?
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, most of us won't face anything like a concentration camp, but we all face challenges: despair, failure, loss, pain. They're part of life. I know I get caught up sometimes in things I just can't control, and thinking about this, it really hit it differently. How does Frankel's message translate?
Well, that's the enduring power of his work, isn't it? Its relevance goes far beyond his specific, horrific experience. He basically forces us to ask ourselves, when we face suffering we can't avoid, okay, what purpose can I find or create from this?
Turning it around.
Exactly. That question shifts pain. It stops being just a destructive force and becomes something that can, potentially, lead to growth.
So it's not about avoiding suffering.
No, Frankel's core message is pretty clear on that. Life isn't primarily about seeking comfort or avoiding pain. It's about finding meaning through whatever comes our way. Even in the midst of suffering, life is asking something of us. It's demanding a response.
A response like...
To rise to the challenge, maybe? To
Right.
create something new out of the difficulty, to love more deeply. Or sometimes, simply to endure with dignity. And it's in choosing that meaningful response, Frankel argues, that we truly transcend the suffering, that we genuinely live.
So ultimately, what Frankel shows us is that our deepest drive, perhaps, really is this search for meaning.
Seems so.
And that search itself is what empowers us, especially when we're facing life's biggest hurdles. So maybe something to think about as you go about your day. Consider a difficult situation you might be facing right now, something unavoidable perhaps. How might looking at it through this lens, through Frankel's will to meaning, how might that shift your perspective? Could it help you find or maybe even create some purpose within it?